everyone remain standing, please, for the national...
The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, is among the dignitaries attending the International Conference on Health Access and Socioeconomic Development in the nation's capital, Abuja. The organizer sets the tone for the discussions here, highlighting some of his agency's interventions since the outbreak of COVID-19.
A few months into the pandemic, we further developed 4 products which have now received listing registration status from the regulatory agency NAFDAC. 2 of those products have now been put forward for clinical trials, and based on the high R&D standards in the institute, we are indeed very hopeful that we would very shortly bring out a categorical response in that phytomedicinal area.
For the Vice President, the COVID-19 pandemic threw up gaps in Nigeria's health system, defining a new direction that the country must take to achieve self-sufficiency in pharmaceuticals.
Think what would have happened to India, which has reported the most number of infections in the world after the United States, if it did not have the capacity to produce its own vaccines. So it's evident that the way forward is more funding for healthcare and research, for our innovators, and to develop solutions in pharmaceuticals and medical consumables.
The outbreak of COVID-19 in Nigeria last year and its attendant effects on pharmaceutical supplies led to multiple health policies and interventions from the government and the private sector on the need to build local capacity for medical self-sufficiency. However, more may be needed to translate those policies and interventions into reality.
It's not even the issue of policy, it is the implementation. It's the people who are implementing the policy who have no pride in this country and would rather implement it for their own good rather than for the good of the country. That's the major obstacle. There are enough people in this country and there are enough plans and policies, but just that implementation, it boils down to that individual. What do you think of your country?
Many in this hall are hopeful that the suggestions from participants at this conference and the assurances from the Vice President will be implemented and help change the narrative.